Welcome to Advent of Tessellations 2024. My name is Madonna Yoder, and you're joining hundreds of folders around the world on this 25-day journey into the infinite world of repeating patterns folded from a single sheet of paper. You'll discover many different twists in this challenge, building up to advanced patterns with hybrid hexagon twists. On the final day of Advent of Tess this year, we're folding this pattern I designed named Mayapple, named for those plants that you'll see in most of the eastern woodlands of North America in the spring that are kind of umbrella shaped, the little stem, and then they sometimes have a little flower underneath. So this design, you can see the crease pattern if you're signed up for the email reminders at training.gatheringfolds.com/advent, and we're going to fold it on 16 grid divisions. So we've been using 24 for most of the series, but yesterday and today are 16. Of course, you can use 24. You'll just have 4 extra spaces around the outside. And we're going to start with a closed hexagon twist in the center. So I'm going to have my mountain folds coming straight out to the corner of the paper, and on the right hand side, the valley will be one spacing above the mountain. I'm going to fold both the mountain and the valley before I pass that fold off to my left hand, and I'm going to repeat all the way around, working my way around the paper. This center area is very vertical, very lifted up in the air, which lets me get all of these folds in place. And the fact that I'm keeping this outer area down on the table while I'm folding functionally gives me extra hands, so I don't have to be trying to pinch 6 different things in 6 different places. So once I have those 6 pleats, I'm going to get them a little bit flatter, coming in towards the center until I have 2 grid spacings left between the flat area and this raised platform. And then I'm going to kind of tap the top and grab in 3 places around and give it a sharp twist, and it'll look a little bit crumply until we smooth it out. And that is our closed hexagon twist. And I'll go ahead and label that with an A. Our next twists are closed triangle twists on the B side, and they're as close as possible, like we saw on day 23. And that's going to mean that our valley folds are exactly in line with the existing mountain folds. Our mountain folds for this new pleat are 1 space out from the valley. Our target grid intersection is where this existing mountain meets the new mountain, and we can find that by folding, putting in that valley and mountain fold, finding the intersection point, and erasing the extension of the old plate to put in a plate in a 3rd grid direction to complete the closed triangle twist and squash. Once we've completed this twist, we want to work around in a clockwise direction. So we're going to excavate the pleat from underneath the previous triangle to fold our next triangle. We're going to have the same distances for all of these twists. So my new valley is going to be right under the existing mountain. My mountain will be 1 spacing further away. And then I'm going to be opening up the pleat from the hexagon while leaving the pleat from the previous triangle folded as I put in my remaining pleat for my new closed triangle. This is going to pass right under the corner of the previous closed triangle and squash. So I'll go ahead and put a B on that first triangle. So now we're going to repeat those steps. I'm going to excavate the pleat from under the triangle I just folded, find the valley in line with the folded mountain, one spacing further away, find the target grid intersection for this closed triangle twist, erase the mountain from the center that's going past that grid intersection while keeping the pleat from the previous triangle folded, folding a third pleat through the previous triangle pleat, and squash. And then excavate the next pleat. I'm going to run this one a bit faster, find the new pleat at the spacing that we've used already, and find the third pleat to complete the triangle. Again, excavate the pleat under the triangle we just made, find our new pleat headed parallel to the next pleat from the hexagon around, and find the remaining pleat of the triangle, creating a pleat overlap under the previous triangle twist, and squash. On our final triangle twist, we're going to do a compound wrap with the pleat coming from our original triangle. So we're going to have our valley coming straight out from the center. That valley is going to bounce when it hits the mountain fold of this first triangle twist. Instead of continuing straight, it's going to switch directions and head down into this valley that is one space away from the mountain we bounced off of. And then it's going to bounce again, creating a three-way intersection of valleys down there. And up here, we're also going to see a three-way intersection of valley folds once we pop this point down. And then we will see two three-way intersections of mountain folds transposed one spacing over from those three-way intersections of valley folds. And by the way, if you haven't excavated the pleat out from under the fifth triangle, this would be a good time to do so. And so we've got that compound wrap set up, but it's not going to lay down flat until we find our third pleat for our new triangle twist. And now everything here can lay down flat, and we can squash our new closed triangle twist, our sixth closed triangle. So we've got all of these triangles really close together, and I'm going to grab the compound wrap as I flip back to side A, and I'm going to start working on the next pleat overlap around from the compound wrap. So that's the compound wrap that I have slightly open there. I'm going to be going clockwise around, starting with the next one. And I'm starting with that next one because I have more space here than I have in any of these other overlaps. So when I'm looking at the new hybrid hexagon twist that I'm going to put in, I can see this on the crease pattern, or also I can, well, this particular one I folded a lot of, so I do have it in memory. But I'm going to open up my overlap and lift up as if I was folding a closed hexagon twist. So stabilize everything else. We don't want to open those triangles, but let's have these two pleats coming in like they're coming to the center of a closed hexagon twist. This would be the rare case of a tessellation. If we did a closed hexagon, that would be flagstone on both sides. So we have these two mountain folds coming straight into the center, and I'm using this dotted line for the closed type pleats, and I'll use solid lines for open type pleats because that matches what's in the crease pattern. We're going to have 3 directions of closed type pleats and 3 of open type pleats in this hybrid hexagon twist, and they're going to be clustered together. So all 3 of my closed type pleats are right next to each other. And then my open type pleats are next to each other also. So we've got this up, this left up, left down. We need a down pleat that's going to be 1 space away from the center. We need a right down pleat that's going to be 1 away from the center. We need a right up pleat that's going to be 1 away from the center. So those are where the mountain folds are going to be for this hybrid hexagon twist. When I put in this pleat going down, you can see there's 2 spaces between these parallel mountain folds. Yesterday there was only 1 space, but today there's 2. And then going up, I have this closed type pleat going straight up. That's going to create a tube with the compound wrap. And then I have my my open type pleat that's continuing along the edge. And my final open type pleat forming kind of this crown. I call this a P3 hybrid hexagon twist because as you start with an open hexagon twist and start changing more and more of your pleats to closed type, this is the 3rd pentagon shape that comes up. So I can go ahead and squash the edges that are exactly like an open hexagon twist. And I've got a pillow in here and a pillow in here that I'm pressing to allow a valley fold to pass directly across. And then these pillars are going to bend over following the direction of the underlying pleat and flatten. And it's really arbitrary how those flatten. As long as they're down flat, you can't tell on the surface. But I try to avoid extra layers in there, which I would get if I was folding back in the other direction. Like if this bit was going back that way, that would be more layers on top of here. So I just go with the way that makes all of the new folds, and either way, more or less either way. Actually, the true statement is all of the new folds that are not on grid lines are going to be outlining the border of what would be an open hexagon twist centered on this point, regardless of how you fold those flaps over. It's just whether you have extra folds on the grid lines. That's the difference. So we've seen how to set up this hybrid hexagon twist from those 2 pleats coming in. The next thing that we need to see is how to get a second one next to our first one. And for that, I'm going to use a piece of information that I have, which is that the edges of these are going to lay right next to each other on the same line, which means that my valley fold is going to have to be 1 space away, and then my mountain 1 space further than that. And I'm drawing these pretty far out from the center of the action because if you remember, the pleat going straight out to the edge there is a closed type pleat. So I don't really want to draw all the way into the center. So as I open this outermost pleat going around, I'm going to pop down my valley fold, wrap around with the mountain fold, close that triangle wrap. And now when I open up my pleats, my pleat overlap. And one thing you'll notice as you open these pleat overlaps is these little pillar folds are going to want to pop underneath. There's room for them either way, but I like to keep them cleanly on top. And all three of these mountain folds are coming in to the same center, which is good because those are our three closed type pleats. And then we need three open type pleats around the same center point. So I'm going to have the next one going down, offset by 1 grid spacing. This is also, if you're using 16 grid divisions, 2 spaces in from the edge with the valley between our mountain and the edge. And then we're going to have our next open type plate. We're going 1 in, 1 out, 1 in, 1 out, finding these open type pleats. And once again today, this pleat is going to lay exactly on top of the pleat from the triangle wrap, creating an accordion. With all of that in place, we can go ahead and squash this hybrid hexagon twist. And by the way, if you would like to examine this twist more closely on its own, I do have videos. If you search for P3 hybrid hexagon twist, that will come up, or just go to my YouTube channel and look for the most recent videos before Advent of Tess, and it's right there. And also in Advent of Tess, I have the video towards the beginning of the playlist or the course or the webpage, however you're watching it, that is on all the different twists used in Advent of Tess. So now we're going to repeat those last steps exactly, putting in a triangle wrap for the next pleat with our valley 1 space away from this right angle corner of the hybrid hexagon. So I'm popping down this mountain so the valley can pass through, go 1 spacing further, and connect with the existing valley underneath, forming a 3-way intersection of valley folds and locking under. And then opening up my pleat overlap to get this platform as if I'm folding a closed hexagon twist. I'm going to have my mountain going down, shifted over. So this would be the closed position, and we're shifting it over 1 to the open position. I also have this tube pleat that I can use as a reference. And once again, that little pillar wanted to sneak under the pleat from the triangle. Whichever way is fine, but I do like to have that sitting on top. And then our remaining pleats, treating this top half like it's an open hexagon puffy star. And again, we're going to get an accordion pleat on top of the triangle wrap. And once we squash these edges that are acting like open hexagons, we're squashing the pillows underneath and then the pillars on these closed type corners. And you might be wondering, why do we need to squash these pillars? Why can't we just rotate it the rest of the way around like a closed hexagon twist? And that's because the open hexagon twist and the closed hexagon twist rotate different amounts like as you're twisting them. And you can do this by, like, if you have your paper and you draw a letter in the middle of the twist and you have like let's say a closed hexagon and then closed triangles and then an open hexagon, and you write the letter in the same orientation in the center of the 2 different hexagons and then twist them, you can see these different twist angles. So with some of the pleats acting like open hexagon pleats, it's only going to rotate as much as the open hexagon wants to rotate, not the extra that the closed hexagon wants to rotate. So as long as there's any open pleats, it's only going to rotate as much as an open hexagon twist. And we can repeat. I'm moving a little bit faster since we saw this twice already, putting in that triangle wrap with the valley hitting 1 grid spacing away from the corner of our previous hybrid hexagon, and then opening the pleat overlap to get to this state where it looks like we're setting up a closed hexagon, but then putting in our remaining 3 pleats like they're going around the same center, but like an open hexagon. And squashing the open hexagon side and continuing the squash all the way around to that closed hexagon side. And once again, popping that mountain down 1 space away from the corner so that the triangle wrap comes back with this pleat right at the corner. Opening up the pleat overlap so we see what would be a new closed hexagon twist, but then our 3 new pleats are going to be treating that same center as if it's a open hexagon. And once again, that little flap can pop back on top. And we can squash our new hybrid hexagon twist, the P3 hybrid hexagon twist. And now we're down to our final hybrid hexagon, final hexagon twist in Advent of Tess this year. And we're going to put in the triangle wrap in exactly the same way. And now when we go to open things up on the inside here, we need to pop that point through to see the rest of our hexagon. And here my new pleat is going to come. So we have our 3 closed type pleats coming straight in to the center, and then our 3 open type pleats are going to head out around like so. So this pleat's coming down this way and hitting this horizontal pleat from the first hybrid hexagon, which is going to wrap around. Got my pleat coming out this way that's forming this puffy star setup. And then my final pleat is coming out here, laying on top of the pleat from the triangle wrap. And that would be even more pronounced if you're using 24 grid divisions. And we can press to squash all of the new folds in this hybrid hexagon. Okay, so now we're almost done. We just need to flip back to the B side and take all of these 3-way intersections and squash them as closed triangle twists. Like we saw in yesterday's tutorial, if we had more grid, it would be clearer that these necessarily have to be closed triangle twists. They cannot be any other size of triangle twist. They can't be an open triangle because this next pleat is coming right up underneath and it would interfere with the next pleat to have this be any other size. Like to have our pleat going to the outside, shifted over one spacing to make it an open triangle. That's not gonna fly on this particular pattern. And then, believe it or not, we can actually repeat this pattern as many times as we want on a larger sheet of paper. And the process is very similar to what I showed, where we would be adding in a hexagon and 2 triangles at every step. So for more repeats of these patterns, in general, you're not going to do inner triangles and then hexagons and then outer triangles. You're going to be adding 2 triangles for each new hexagon as you go and squashing the triangles as you go. So it's a lot more flipping the paper back and forth. But I have a lot of resources on how to fold more of various patterns, and there's also the crease patterns in the Advent of Tess ebook for this year and previous years. There's also several courses that I run. Building up the foundations would be Basic Twist Bootcamp and Tessellation Starter Sequence, and then taking it further into these advanced patterns and really understanding what's going on would be Tessellations by Tiles, Tessellation Academy. Really focusing on the advanced twists would be Advanced Twist Techniques, and there's a lot of crease patterns and tutorials that come with each of those courses. So happy folding, everyone, and yeah, I'll see you in my next live stream because this is the final day of Advent of Tess this year. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everybody, and see you around the internet.